on the prairie, in the saddle I ride. Not even a dog, boys, to trot by my side.
That's my partner, Gene Autry, the singingest man and the best cowhand this side of the Great Divide. And that's Champion, Gene's horse. Me, Chin Music. Chin Music Hannigan, that's me, and I'm going to tell you how I first met Gene and how Gene met Champ. I'm going to tell you how Champion almost killed a man that tried to ride him and almost got himself shot deader than a side of salt pork. Oh, about 3, maybe 4 years back, I was sitting on the steps of the bunkhouse here at the bar road, just a-settin', and a stranger comes ambling up. He was a-carrying his saddle and blanket rolled over his shoulder, and he looked plumb wore out. I kind of took to him on sight. Maybe it was that good-natured grin.
Howdy, friend.
Well, howdy, stranger. Well, you sure look like a man in need of a horse.
I reckon I do. Yes, sir, the good Lord sure didn't make feet for walking.
I guess he didn't, or he wouldn't have invented horses. What happened to your'n?
Stepped in a gopher hole, broke his leg.
Well, sit and rest your hat.
Thanks. Autry's my name. Gene Autry.
Chin Music. Chin Music Hannigan's the handle I go by. On account of folks say I'm the talkingest hombre in the whole of America. And that's a heap of territory, I reckon.
And that's a heap of talking talent. The boss of your outfit around?
Joe Stockton? Well, he's down at the corral. Why, looking for a job?
Looking for a horse, if you'll sell me one.
Well, now, Gene, maybe you come by just at the right time. Yes, sir, maybe Joe'll give you a horse.
Give me a horse?
That is, if you can ride him.
Oh, I see. An unbroke bronc, huh? Well,
no change.
Then he's mean?
Meaner than a ring-tailed bobcat. And the boss just bought him from Pete Hutchins. Not that Pete didn't warn him forehand.
Your boss get throwed?
Throwed? Son, Joe Stockton didn't even get his hock settled in the saddle, and whammy, he was a chawing the dust. Oh, no, sir, no, sir. It ain't a horse to tangle with. A one-man horse if I ever seed one.
I'd like to see that horse, Chin Music.
Well, now, look here, young fella. I wouldn't mess with that critter if I were you.
I'd still like to see that horse.
Well, come along to the corral. But you better give me the name of your next of kin, if any.
Say, he's a beauty. Sure looks like a champion. Is that straight medicine, Stockton? If I can ride him, he's mine?
That's what I said, Autry. And Joe Stockton never goes back on his word. But I'm warning you, he's dangerous. Right, Chin Music?
Oh, you sure ought to know, boss.
Why did Pete Hutchins sell him to you, Stockton?
Pete's riding days are over, poor fella.
Oh.
He got himself hurt bad by a wild steer about a month so back.
And him with a missus and 3 young'uns.
Yeah.
I don't know how in tarnation they'll ever get along.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Reckon you can spare a couple of your boys to help me get a saddle on him?
Oh, no. I ain't going to risk the lives of any of my cowhands. You'll have to tackle him alone, Autry.
Oh, that's quite a job.
I thought you'd change your mind.
I don't scare that easy, my friend. It's a deal.
Now, son, you ought to get a little rest first.
Say, here comes Smitty Johnson.
Oh, boy. Oh. Howdy, Stockton.
Howdy, Smitty.
Hi, Chin Music.
Say, Smitty, meet Gene Autry here. He's hankering to try his hand at riding champion.
Oh, no, he doesn't. Reckon you forgot that you promised me first crack at that critter, Stockton.
I guess that's right, Smitty. Well, you'll just have to wait your next, Autry, if you still got a hankering to get your neck busted.
I'll wait.
Ain't no point in your waiting around, Autry. Champ is as good as mine. But if you doubt that, we'll just sit by and watch me tame him down.
We all sat by and watched Smitty walk into the corral swinging his rope, getting ready for a throw. Champ backed up into the far end of the corral, watching Smitty, drawing closer and closer. Champ lowered his head. His foreleg began pawing the ground, just pawing the ground. Then we see him lay his ears back.
Watch him, Smitty! He's gonna rush you!
Champ made a beeline for Smitty. Smitty threw his rope, a good loop, and roped Champ around the neck. Champ reared back on his hind legs, his forelegs pawing high in the air. He jerked his head back, too quick for Smitty. Smitty hung on to the rope, but he went down on his knees. And Champ rushed him. We hauled out our 6-shooters and began blazing away in the air to scare off Champ.
Run for it, Smitty! Back for the gate!
I saw Gene jump over the bars into the corral, running to head off Champ. Smitty was up on his feet trying to dodge those murdering hooves. Gene dived for Champ's neck and hung on. We came a-running in to get Smitty. Stay with him, Gene!
Hang on, Autry! We're a-coming!
Well, we got Smitty out before Champ could maul him worse than he did.
Hurt bad, Smitty?
I reckon he didn't do too much damage. Thanks to you, Autry.
Oh, forget it. It ain't nothing.
I'd advise you to lay off on that killer.
You darn tootin' he's staying away from that varmint. Chin music?
Yeah, boss.
Fetch me my 30-30.
What are you going to do with that rifle, Stockton?
Do? I'm going to put a bullet through that horse's head and make buzzard beef out of him.
You will not?
No? And who's going to stop me?
I will.
It's my horse, ain't it?
Sure. But you said if I could ride him, I could have him. And I'm holding you to your word, Stockton.
Yeah. I guess you got me there, Autry. Well, go on. Go on in there. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, I'll take Chin Music's advice in the matter, Stockton. I'll tackle Champion the first thing in the morning. Say, Chin Music, I want to talk with Pete Hutchins.
You mean the fellow that sold Champ to the boss?
Yeah. Where does he live? I'd like to see him before morning.
Lordy, how news travels on the range. Come morning, I reckon every cowhand for 20 miles around was there when Gene showed up.
Here he comes, boys. Here comes Autry.
$5 you don't get the saddle on his back.
We'll stand by to catch you, Autry.
Sooner ride a street lightning than that horse.
That ain't a hobby horse there, stranger.
What? Gene was carrying a saddle over his shoulder. I noticed it weren't his'n, and he was wearing a Stetson. Well, I guess it was at least 3 sizes too small for him the way it sat on the top of his head. Gene sashayed into that corral as calm as all get out. Champ eyed him suspicious-like from the other end of the corral, not moving an inch, just a-looking and a-waiting as Gene ambled slowly up to him. Then Champ's head went up. Derned if he didn't start sniffing the breeze. That's when Gene begun to whistle. Doggone an old windbag if Champ's ears didn't go up, a-listening to that whistle. That horse looked worried. Yes, sir, and suspicious. He began a-backing away, never for a second taking his eyes off Gene. Well, Gene was no more than 15 feet from Champ now. I guess that's when Champ figured he was facing an enemy. His ears flattened back, and he began to paw on the ground fierce-like. Gene kept edging closer and closer.
Look out, fella!
Watch him, stranger!
Champ made for Gene, and Gene snatched off that hat he was wearing and flung it right smack at Champ's head. Champ went back on his hind legs, and Gene jumped clear of his hoofs. Turned if that critter didn't seem to take more interest in that hat lying on the ground than he did to Gene. He stiff-legged over to it, lowered his head, and began sniffing it. Gene moved in like lightning. He flung that saddle over Champ's back and hung on to the cinch buckle.
Let him out, cowboy! Stay with him, stranger!
Ha-ha! Lordy, that horse was mad. He made off with Gene hanging onto his neck. Gene got his hitch in and swung onto Champ's back. Then Champ sure began giving Gene the works. Oh, but that lad sure could ride. Tarnation how he could ride. Champ pulled every mean trick out of the bag that a horse could think of. Why, he sunfished, he corkscrewed, and he threw in a couple of new wrinkles I had never seen before. But Gene stayed with him. Yes, sirree, Gene stuck with him, and Champ began to reckon that he had found a new master. He let up, snorted, and held his head high. Oh, I guess just to let folks know that he weren't busted. Just made up his own mind to tolerate his new boss. For the time being, I guess. Gene rode him through the corral gate.
Easy, Champ, easy, boy. Yes, sir, we're going to be good friends, you and I. Yes, sir.
Autry, I sure gotta hand it to you. Never seen anybody got such a way with horses. Son, I'd be right proud to have you ride for me at the Bar O.
Chen, music here's $200 in this money belt of mine. I'd be obliged if you'd hand it over to Pete Hutchins with my blessings. You can tell him that's in payment for the loan of his hat and saddle. And, oh yes, for those music lessons he gave me last night.
Music lessons?
Yeah, music lessons. See what I mean?
Yes, sir, and so does Champ, I reckon. Yes, sir, ever since then, Gene and Champ have been riding for the Bar O. And this old mossback is sure lucky to have such grand partners. Yes, sir, the best cowhand this side of the Great Divide is Gene Autry, and the singingest man on the range.
All day in the prairie, in the saddle I ride. Not even a dog boy to trot by.